What if the inheritance your father left you wasn't money, but a truth he never shared? Stop the tape. Stop it right now. Dr. Phil's voice cut through the studio instantly. In his hand was a sealed envelope. On stage sat a woman whose entire reality was about to shift. What followed left everyone in that room, Dr. Phil included, completely stunned. No one had expected what was inside that envelope. Not the producers, not the audience, and least of all her. Just 48 hours earlier, Sarah Mitchell had entered the Dr. Phil studio believing she was there to settle a simple disagreement about her late father's will. She was 34, a single mother from Ohio, and she assumed this was a financial dispute, something involving paperwork, legal steps, and family mediation. She had no idea she was about to face the most life-changing revelation she had ever encountered. Dr. Phil had reviewed the case files the night before. On paper, everything looked routine. A deceased father, 2 children, a contested will, and claims of undisclosed assets. Nothing unusual. He had dealt with situations like this hundreds of times over his 25-year career. But one sentence in the lawyer's note stood out to him. A single line buried deep in the documentation. Client requests DNA verification before estate distribution. That one phrase changed everything. The episode began like any other. Sarah sat in the familiar guest chair, nervous but composed. Across from her was her younger brother, Marcus, 28, who had flown in from California. Between them were years of tension, disagreements, and now questions about money. Dr. Phil opened with his usual direct approach. Sarah, you're here because you believe your brother is hiding assets from your father's estate. Is that correct? Yes. Sarah nodded, her voice steady. Dad had a life insurance policy worth $500,000. Marcus won't tell me where the money went. Marcus leaned forward, clearly frustrated. Because it's not your concern, Sarah. Dad left specific instructions. Instructions? Sarah's voice rose. You mean secrets? You've been lying to me for months. Dr. Phil lifted his hand to quiet them. Hold on. Before we get into accusations, I need to ask you both something. The studio fell silent. His tone had shifted, something the producers immediately noticed. This wasn't his typical mediation voice. It was more serious. Marcus, Dr. Phil said slowly, why did your father request DNA testing as part of the will? The question hit the room like an explosion. Sarah's face drained of color. What? What are you talking about? Marcus shut his eyes. He had known this moment was coming. Dr. Phil, can we talk about this privately? No, Sarah stood, her voice trembling. No more secrets. What DNA test, Marcus? What does he mean? That was the moment Dr. Phil made a decision that changed everything. He turned to the cameras, to the crew, and to the producers in the control room. Stop the tape, everyone. Stop recording right now. Confusion spread across the studio. Audience members looked around. Camera operators lowered their equipment. The floor director spoke into his headset. Phil wants production stopped. What now? This almost never happened. In 25 years, Dr. Phil had halted production maybe 10 times, and only when something serious required a different approach. He walked to the edge of the stage and called out to the senior producer. Bring me the envelope, the one the attorney sent, and clear the stage except for Sarah and Marcus. The audience was escorted out. Soon only Dr. Phil, the siblings, and 2 cameras remained. Dr. Phil sat between them, holding a sealed manila envelope with legal markings. Sarah, he said softly, what I'm about to tell you is difficult. You can step out right now. You don't have to hear this on camera. Sarah's hand shook. Just tell me, please. Your father stated that before the estate could be divided, a DNA test had to be completed. Marcus agreed 3 months ago. Sarah, your father wanted you to know the truth about your biological parentage. Sarah's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief, then fear. What are you saying? Marcus reached for her hand. Sarah, I've known for 6 months. Dad told me before he passed. Told you what? Her voice cracked. Dr. Phil held up the envelope. Sarah, These are the DNA results comparing you, Marcus, and your father. Do you want to know what they say? Open it, she whispered. Dr. Phil broke the seal and scanned the document. Even he hadn't expected what he read. Sarah, according to these results, the man you believed was your father is not your biological father. The test also shows Marcus is your half-brother. You share the same mother, but not the same father. Sarah's face fell. My entire life, everything I believed, it's not real. Marcus moved closer. Sarah, listen. Dad, the man we called Dad, he loved you. He raised you. He chose you every single day. That's what counts. But he never told me. Sarah sobbed. Why didn't he tell me? Dr. Phil leaned forward. Sarah, your father left something else for you. May I read it? She nodded, unable to speak. Dr. Phil pulled out a handwritten letter from the envelope. His usually firm voice softened as he read. My dearest Sarah, if you're hearing this, then I'm gone, and you've learned the truth. I'm sorry I didn't have the courage to tell you myself. Your mother and I believed hiding it would protect you. We were wrong. When she told me she was expecting another man's child, I had a choice. I chose you. I chose to be your father, not because of blood, but because of love. Every game, every performance, every talk, those weren't duties. They were joys. I know you're angry, and you have every right. But you must understand, you are my daughter. Not because of DNA, but because I decided every day to be your father. I would make that same choice again without hesitation. I'm leaving you the life insurance money. All of it. Marcus has his share. This is yours. Not out of obligation, but out of love. Use it to build the life you deserve. And please don't let this truth erase the memories we created. You are my daughter. You always will be. Love, Dad. When Dr. Phil finished reading, the studio was silent. Sarah covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking as she cried. Marcus wrapped his arms around her. Dr. Phil placed the letter down with care. Sarah, I've been doing this for 25 years, he began. I've watched families come apart because of secrets, lies, and broken trust. But I've also learned something important. Family isn't only about biology. It's about the choices we make, the effort we give, and the kind of love that stays even when the truth is painful. Sarah lifted her head, tears running down her face. But my real father, who was he? Where is he? Dr. Phil spoke gently. According to the documents, your biological father passed away 8 years ago. He never knew you existed. Your mother kept that to herself until the end. Sarah's voice cracked. So I'll never meet him. I'll never get answers. No, Dr. Phil replied softly. Those answers aren't available. But you still have something meaningful. You had a father who chose you, who cared for you entirely, and who left you everything he could, more than just money. He left you a legacy of genuine, steady love. He handed her the letter. Keep this. Read it when you're upset, when you're uncertain, when you question whether you were loved. This letter is your proof. You were cared for deeply and without hesitation. Marcus finally spoke. Sarah, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Dad asked me to wait until the test results confirmed everything. He wanted you to hear the truth directly from him, through his letter. He didn't want you to face this without his words to guide you. Sarah looked at her brother, her half-brother, and for the first time since the envelope was opened, the anger eased. You've known for 6 months? She asked. That must have been incredibly hard. It was, Marcus admitted. But Dad was clear. You needed to hear this from him, not from me. Dr. Phil stepped back to give them space, yet stayed present. These were the moments that shaped his work, not the show itself, but the environment where people started to heal. Sarah, Dr. Phil said, what your father did, raising you, loving you, choosing you, that's the purest kind of love. It's love without conditions or obligations. It's love that says, I'm here because I want to be. Sarah wiped her face. The money, he left everything to me. $500,000. That's correct, Dr. Phil said. Marcus receives the house and other property. Your father planned it this way. He wanted you to have financial stability and something solid to build on. Sarah turned to Marcus. But that doesn't seem fair to you. Marcus shook his head. Sarah, I earn well in California. I didn't need Dad's insurance money. But you're a single mom working 2 jobs. Dad understood your situation. Honestly, I'm relieved you're getting it. It's exactly what he wanted, and you deserve it. The distance between them, years of tension and quiet competition, began to fade. Dr. Phil observed the shift, recognizing the familiar signs of reconciliation. This is what healing looks like, he said. Not perfect, not quick, but genuine. Sarah looked at the letter, then at Marcus, then at Dr. Phil. I don't know how to even start processing this. My whole identity, everything I believed about myself, is still true, Dr. Phil said gently. You are still the daughter he loved. You are still a sister. You are still a mother. The only thing that's changed is what you've learned, not who you are. He paused. But Sarah, there's something else you need to know. She looked up, worried. There's more. Not more secrets, Dr. Phil reassured her. More support. He pulled a business card from his pocket. This therapist specializes in identity questions and family-related issues. Your father set aside separate funds to cover 2 years of sessions. He wanted you to have guidance through all of this. Sarah stared at the card, tears returning. He planned everything, she whispered. He did, Dr. Phil said. Because that's what committed parents do. The ones who show up day after day. Biology happens by chance, but love is intentional. And your father chose you every single day. The cameras had stayed off the entire time. None of the most personal moments were recorded. The exchange remained private, protected. Share and subscribe. Make sure this story is never forgotten. Later, Dr. Phil signaled to the control room. Bring the audience back. We're going to continue. When the audience returned, they sensed the change immediately. Sarah and Marcus now sat closer, their posture calmer, more united. Dr. Phil turned to the camera. Everyone, what you're about to witness is a family that has faced something significant. Sarah has just learned that the man she believed was her biological father wasn't. But she has also discovered what real fatherhood truly means. He looked at Sarah. How are you feeling right now? Sarah breathed deeply. Overwhelmed, grateful, frustrated, sad, everything. But mostly, I feel loved. Because my dad, and he is my dad, cared enough to tell me the truth, even after he passed. He made sure I would be okay. He gave me what I needed to heal. The audience applauded. Some wiped tears. Others nodded, relating to their own experiences. Marcus cleared his throat. I want to say something. Sarah, I'm sorry for how I handled things. I thought I was doing the right thing by following Dad's instructions, but I should have supported you better. Sarah took his hand. You honored Dad's wishes. I see that now. And Marcus, you're my brother. Half, whole, it doesn't matter. You're still my brother. Dr. Phil's eyes grew moist, something he rarely allowed on set. This, he said quietly, is why I do this work. Not for conflict or spectacle, but for moments when families come back together. When truth, even painful truth, becomes the starting point for real healing. He lifted the letter again. Sarah, this is your father's legacy. Not the money or the assets. This letter. In it, he leaves you the most meaningful gift, the understanding that you were loved, chosen, and enough exactly as you are. The taping ended an hour later, but the healing continued. Over the next weeks, Dr. Phil's team connected Sarah with the therapist her father arranged and helped her reconnect with relatives who had known the truth. 3 months later, Sarah sent Dr. Phil a letter. Dr. Phil, thank you for guiding me through the hardest day of my life. You could have used my pain for the show, but you protected my privacy. You shut off the cameras when I needed space. I've been in therapy working through everything. I read Dad's letter every night. It reminds me that love isn't about biology, it's about commitment. Marcus and I talk every week now. We're rebuilding. The money changed my life. I paid off debts, secured college funds, and bought a home. But the real inheritance was the truth. It gave me freedom. Thank you for helping me understand that my father's love was real. Sarah. Dr. Phil kept her letter in his desk. This is why we do this, he told his team. Not for ratings, but for families like Sarah and Marcus who need to know they aren't alone. The episode never aired. Some stories are too personal for television. But Sarah shared her experience later through advocacy work, supporting adoptive families and people with similar stories. The truth her father left for her became a truth many others needed to hear. Family isn't determined by DNA. It's defined by the decision to show up, to care, and to choose one another repeatedly. The envelope, the letter, and the choice to pause the cameras became symbols of a family's path to freedom. Years later, when people asked Dr. Phil about the cases that shaped his career, he always mentioned Sarah. I learned that sometimes the most valuable thing I can offer is a space where someone feels safe enough to break down, because only then can they rebuild stronger. That was the legacy of one envelope, one letter, and one father's final gift, truth expressed through steady, unconditional love.